Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
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 Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Giridhari
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Giridhari
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha
Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jai Shri Radha Madhav ki
Jai
Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki My Gaura Premanjana.
Ah, 9:30. Isn't it? Panic. Okay, leave it. I'll adjust. I'll do it. Leave it. No problem. I can do. So Hare Krishna Prabhus, Hare Krishna Matajis. Welcome to this morning's reading from Bhagavatam. This is a huge garland for the pleasure of their lordships. Jai. So today we read from 3rd canto, 9th chapter, and we will read the 30th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Very wonderful verse. Thank you, Prabhu. Bhuyastvam tapa atishta Vidyam chaiva madashrayam Thabhyam antarhirdi brahman Lokan drakshasi apavritam Bhuyastvam tapa atishta Vidyam chaiva madashrayam Tabhyam antarhirdi brahman Lokan drakshasi apavritam Bhuyastvam tapa atishta Vidyam chaiva madashrayam Tabhyam antarhridi brahman Lokan drakshasi apavritam. Prabhus? Matajis? Let's read the synonyms. Bhuyaha, again. Tvam, yourself. Tapaha, penance. Atishta, be situated. Vidyam, in the knowledge, cha, also, eva, certainly, mat, my, ashrayam, under the protection, tabhyam, by those qualifications, antaha, within, hriddhi, in the heart, brahman, O brahmana, lokan, all the worlds, drakshasi, you will see, apavritan, all disclosed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Please repeat the translation. O Brahma, situate yourself in penance and meditation and follow the principles of knowledge to receive my favor. By these actions, you will be able to understand everything from within your heart. Please hear the purport. The mercy the Lord bestows upon a particular person engaged in executing the responsible work entrusted unto him is beyond imagination. But His mercy is received due to our penance and perseverance in executing devotional service. Brahma was entrusted with the work of creating the planetary systems. The Lord instructed him that when he meditated, he would very easily know where and how the planetary systems must be arranged. The directions were to come from within, and there was no necessity for anxiety in that task. Such instructions of Buddhi Yoga are directly imparted by the Lord from within, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gaure Tvishe Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patithanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadev, the author. Nasta Praeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. So we welcome all devotees today for the program. Very nice to see everyone. We are having a wonderful weekend. Yesterday we had Romapad Maharaj. This evening Romapad Maharaj will come back to the center. And from 11:45, I think, no, in fact from 10 o'clock onwards, Maharaj will be speaking to, I think almost maybe, I don't know, maybe 50 or 60 students and newcomers at the NTU program, that's organized at the moment. So very nice programs going on, very wonderful chance for Maharaj to reach out to many devotees. And again, tomorrow in the evening for the public holiday program, Maharaj will also take the class. So please don't miss the chance to come and hear from him. Today's shloka is a very important shloka because here we find that Brahma is now being spoken to by Krishna. And Brahmaji is told by Krishna a few very important points. One of the important things that Brahma has been told by Krishna is actually just before this shloka. In text 29, you will find that Brahma, he had prayed very hard. And I think just before that, in text 26, for example, yes, 26. Brahma prayed for his mercy as far as his mind and words would permit him. Thus, having prayed, he became silent, as if tired from his activities of penance, knowledge, and mental concentration. This is a very important point because Brahma had done all he could. He had done everything. So Prabhupada writes and translates the translation very nicely that Brahma had gone as far as his mind and words would permit him. So this is an important point because there is only a limit to what we can do. No matter how much power we think we have, we think that if we think we are capable of extraordinary things, then actually we are mistaken. We should know that no matter how much capacity we have, our capacity is only up to a certain point. And this capacity that Krishna has given us, because he has given us capacity, this capacity is also known as ability, isn't it? It's known as ability. So in Bhagavad Gita, this ability is known as Paurusham Drishu. Paurusham Drishu. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that I am ability in man. In other words, whatever ability we have is actually coming from Krishna. So therefore here, Brahma's ability, right, of penance and perseverance and meditation was all coming from Krishna. The origin is Krishna. But the important thing to note is, despite all that Brahma did, right, he still had his limits. So this is one important thing today we have to understand. We should not think that what we do is so amazing, so extraordinary, because when that happens, pride will fill our heart. And when pride fills our heart, then there is no space for Krishna, right? There's only space for so much. Heart is not very big. Therefore, there's only either you have Krishna in the heart or you have pride in the heart. So when we have too much pride, then Krishna is not there. But in Brahma's case, there was no pride because Brahma became very tired. He did all he could. And then as far as he could, he stopped at that moment. So actually, why did Brahma stop there is also important. Not only did he stop because of the fact that his mind could not do anything, or that was the best he could do, but Bhagavatam tells us Brahma stopped there because once we are searching for the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, we do not have to search anywhere else. You see the point? So actually, Brahma also stopped all his prayers because there was no one else to pray to. Sometimes the problem in the world is we pray to one devata and then we go to pray another person. Then not to take a chance, we try a few more. And sometimes we want to spread ourselves very much, isn't it? Option A, option B, option C. So we try everyone, you see. But Brahma did not do that because in Brahma's mind, it was very clear that a person who is searching for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can only search up to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He should not go beyond that, because beyond Krishna, there is no one else. There is no one else. This is very important, because in the second canto, 9th chapter, I think it is the last Chatushloka, in 2.9.36 of Chatushloka, Etavat eva jignyasam tadva jignasunadmanaha anvaya vyatirekabhyam yatsya sarvatra sarvada. This is the point that Brahmaji was trying to point out to us. Actually, these 4 Chatushlokas, this is the last, but the 4 Chatushlokas are the seed verses of Bhagavatam. And if you look at every single verse that comes through Bhagavatam, every single prayer in particular that comes through Bhagavatam, you will find that one of the seed verses, or 2, or 3, or 4, all those principles of the seed verses are actually found in the prayers. Even in this shloka of 26, we come to find that the 4th seed verse is actually applicable. Because why? Because all Srimad Bhagavatam actually came from the 4 verses. So they are everywhere, you see. They are everywhere. So this point is very important, as 2.9.35 or 36 says. It says here that in all circumstances, in all space and in all time, directly or indirectly, actually everyone can only search up to Krishna. And there is no need for us to search beyond Krishna. This is an important point. No need to search beyond Krishna. So this is the first point that we learn from Brahmaji. After Brahma tried very hard, then the next thing you realize after that, right? I think Krishna in text 29, Ma Veda Garbhagastandrim, very important verse also. Krishna then replied to Brahma, and his reply is so nice. He first of all praised Brahma. He said, Brahma, you are the depth of Vedic wisdom, isn't it? He says, you are the depth of Vedic wisdom. In other words, he encouraged Brahma. So this is one more important thing we must learn in Bhagavatam. What is that? That we must learn to encourage each other in devotional service. Sometimes this material world is such, we are always discouraging each other. We are finding fault with each other. We are criticizing each other. We don't give assurance to each other in devotional service. In fact, many of us came to devotional service because we got tired of the way people treated us outside. Unfortunately, we come to devotional service and we carry the same baggage. We find fault with each other, we criticize each other, and we never encourage each other. We never have good words for each other very often. And that is not the way of devotional service. Even Brahma was taught by Krishna this way. And Krishna told him, don't be anxious and don't be depressed. This is a very important point. Very often, we are generous in our criticism and stingy in our praise. Have you noticed that? Which should be the opposite. Very hard for us to praise any devotee, but very quick to find fault with people. This Ninda mentality, right, is actually anti-Krishna conscious. And that is why those who have that mentality, inherently they are disturbed in their devotional service. They may be in devotional service, but there is no peace. They are very disturbed because they are offensive in nature, you see. But Krishna showed us here that He is so kind. He showed us this quality of kindness is so important because there's so much of misery and anxiety already in this world. So why should we then go beyond that, you see? So this is an important point that Brahma taught us. That Krishna taught us. What is that verse? I think it's in 12th chapter. Yasman nod vijate loko, loka nod vijate chayaha. Right? In that shloka, so nicely, Krishna is telling Arjuna, that the nature of the living entity, right? The nature of the devotee, who is very dear to Krishna. Yasman nod vijate loko. I think 12:15, if I'm not wrong. 12:15, maybe, 12:15. Yasman nod vijate loko, lokan nod vijate chayaha. You see, what does the translation say, Prabhu? Translation is very nice. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone. So you see, he doesn't start by saying one who is not disturbed by anyone. He is saying here that we should first behave. If we behave, then others will not put us in difficulty. See the point here? There's nothing capricious about the way Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita. Everything is as a reason. Krishna doesn't say one who is not disturbed by anyone and by whom no one is put into disturbance. No. The emphasis is he by whom no one is put into difficulty. That is the business of the devotee. we should act in such a way that we should be very, very mindful of not putting others into difficulty. Sometimes the problem is familiarity breeds contempt. So we are very kind to the strangers. The further the person is, the kinder we are. The closer the people are, the more cruel we are. Unfortunately, that happens to be the case. And those nearest and dearest to us, we can never see good in them because we've got tired of them, Just like wife cannot see good in husband, husband cannot see good in wife, son cannot see good in father, daughter cannot see good. Because we have got so used to each other, we don't have any kindness for each other. That's why they say charity begins at home, isn't it? Why to be so kind to the whole world, but you're cruel to those who are near and dear to you? It doesn't make sense. Krishna preaches what he's practicing. For Krishna, charity begins at home because his home is the home of the devotees. And therefore, Krishna is always kind to his devotees. Krishna is not just kind to the demons, but he's extra kind to his devotees. This is how we should behave. And this is a very important point. So, Krishna has done this to Brahma. He assured him, don't be depressed, don't be anxious, because we are living in a world where actually many people are depressed. We don't realize it. Sometimes we don't realize we are also depressed, That's why these mental illnesses are becoming more prevalent, not because they were not there before, but now people are becoming aware because Kali is advancing. And as time goes, things become more and more difficult. More and more difficult. The best solution to the depression and anxiety is given in Bhagavatam. That you perform just what Brahma did. And this is the subject matter of the verse today. In the shloka today, Brahma has been told by Krishna this very important point. That first of all, if you want to receive favor from me, then you must do some things. This is the point of this shloka. In this shloka, if you read, the whole point of the shloka is found in the middle of the shloka. In the middle of the shloka. You see here, O Brahma, situate yourself in penance and meditation and follow the principles of knowledge to receive my favor. The gem, the main point of this verse is actually how to receive Krishna's favor. That's the point. Okay? And the word favor is very important. When we say someone is doing us a favor, what do we mean? Actually, what we mean is, you don't deserve it, but I'm doing a favor anyway, right? Sometimes we say you're not entitled to something, but it's okay. Prabhu, long queue, prasadam, I'm very hungry, I'll faint in the middle of the queue. Never mind, we do you a favor, Prabhu, you come to the front. Isn't it? That's what happens. Do any one of you use that excuse to skip the queue? I hope not. But if you use it, you can only use it once or twice. Every time you say, Prabhu, I'm going to faint, right? Somebody one day will tell you, never mind, just faint, Prabhu. It's okay. Because the favor, right, is something that actually we are not entitled to. But sometimes in this material world, we really think we are entitled to everything. Sometimes when we come to devotional service, we have a lot of entitlement. We think, I must have this, you must do this for me. Prabhu, where's the aircon? How many of us tell Dino Prabhu, why this is not like that, why this is not like that, why we cannot do this, why we cannot do that? It's like that, Dino Prabhu has to hear all of this. And not only does he hear, he has to get scolding also. Because we are entitled. That's the whole problem. But we don't realize that actually favor means something that we are not entitled to. But Krishna is giving us anyway. That is favor. So another word for favor is actually mercy. Isn't it true? When someone is merciful to us, actually they are doing us a favor. They're doing us a favor. This is a very sobering thought for us. Sometimes when we come to bhakti, we expect, Krishna, I'm praying this much, you must give me that much. That is not favor. We must accept what Brahma accepted, that we have prayed so much, but even then we are not up to it. So if Krishna wants, he can give us something. This is mercy. But in case we are not sure what mercy means or what favor means, you should look to the word-to-word equivalent of the word favor. That's why Prabhus and Matajis, when we study Bhagavatam, when you read the shloka, your daily reading, read the shloka, then you please read the word-to-word meaning. Because the word-to-word meaning is what explains the shloka and the translation very well. In the translation, Krishna says, O Brahma, situate yourself in penance and meditation and follow the principles of knowledge. Three things he's telling: penance, meditation, and principles of knowledge. But these three you need, and if you have them, you will receive my favor. But what is this favor? Look at the word favor. Where is the word favor in the word-to-word transliteration? Can anyone tell me? It's protection. Actually, the word is ashrayam, isn't it? If you look at it, ashrayam, it is protection. So actually, mercy of Krishna, what does it mean? It actually means his protection. That's what it means. So now it becomes clear, you see. Otherwise, we'll just be thinking, oh, he'll do us a favor. What is the favor? Be precise. What is the favor? The favor, Bhagavatam tells us, it's actually protection. That is the important thing. So Krishna is giving us protection. That is very important. And how does Krishna give us protection? What is this Krishna's protection? This protection is not just protecting our body. This is the thing that we always think. But Bhagavatam tells us something very important. When we are protected by Krishna, the symptom of that protection will tell us what the protection is about. The symptom of the protection. If you are protected by Krishna, how will you know you're protected by Krishna? That's the question we ask. Bhagavatam shows us clearly, when we are protected by Krishna, our remembrance of him is revived. This is very important. 2 R's. We will know we are protected by Krishna when our remembrance of him is revived. It is dead at the moment because for a long time, right, we have forgotten Krishna. But by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, today that remembrance of Krishna has revived. You see? Another R word is re-establish. So when Krishna allows us to re-establish our relationship with him through devotional service, when he allows us to revive our remembrance of him by devotional service, that is the evidence of his mercy. That is the evidence of his favor. It's very clear. Now we cannot be in doubt actually, right? This is not something in the air. What is favor? What is mercy? It's very clear. That's why when we study Bhagavatam, the clearer we are, the more our faith will develop. Now we know what is Krishna's favor. How will I know Krishna is favoring me? We will know he's favoring me because every time we are remembering Krishna, he has revived our remembrance. So the remembrance of Krishna is his mercy. See the point? It is not our doing. It is his mercy. That is his mercy. Otherwise we take it for granted. I'm chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Therefore, I'm remembering Krishna. No. If we are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, that is his mercy. That we are even capable of chanting Krishna's names. You want to know the evidence of that? How many of us are in this room? So few. How many people are outside Cuff Road? Many more. Are they chanting Krishna's names? Are they capable of chanting? They are. They are. But why they're not chanting? Because he's favoring us. He's favoring us. It is not because of us. He is favoring us. And favoring means, are we entitled to it? No. Do we deserve it? No. But he's anyway favoring us. See the point? This is Krishna's mercy. So when Krishna protects us, he's very kind. He always protects us. But we should know one thing. To accept that protection, we should understand that we are instruments in Krishna's hands. That's why in 11:33 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna so nicely says, Mayai vaite nihata purva evam nimitta matra bhavya bhava savya sachi. This is important point. Krishna tells us that just like Brahma understood now that he cannot create on his own. He understood now that he had no potency. He understood now that he must become bhavya savya sachin. He must become an instrument in the hand of Krishna. And Brahma understood one thing after so much of penance. It is found in the purport of 11:33. He understood that the whole world is moving according to the plan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He realized that there is a plan here. I don't know the plan. Sometimes we have this problem. We think that because we don't know there's a plan, therefore there is no plan. Have you noticed that logic we have? If I don't know there's a plan, then there's no plan. But just because we don't know there's a plan, doesn't mean there is no plan. There is a plan by Krishna. However, Prabhupada says we do not have sufficient knowledge because we are foolish people. But those who understand it, they will understand there's always a specific plan. Yesterday there was a nice question asked, I think by Leela Sundari Mataji to Maharaj, isn't it? She asked that question that her friend or someone had asked her about Bhishma Dev. How did Maharaj answer that? He answered by saying, very often we don't understand the bigger picture and we don't understand the higher purpose. Isn't it? That's what Maharaj said. And that's exactly what Brahma understood after all his penance. After all his penance, he understood the fruit of his penance was that there is always a higher purpose for everything. That is the lens of a devotee. We may be in difficulty, but there is a bigger plan for us. We can't see the runway, you see. We only see it very short. We don't see the length. But Krishna knows past, he knows present, he knows future. And the spiritual master knows our past, he knows our present, and he also knows our future. So when they give us the plans, we should accept the plans. But Prabhupada says, as long as we have a domineering mentality. Domineering means I think I know everything, you don't know everything. Right? Just follow me. If you think that way, then what happens to us? We cannot be devoted to Krishna. So this is a very important point we should remember. And that is why in this shloka, the word protection becomes very important. That protection comes when we are performing some activity for Krishna. It's very simple. If we perform some activity for Krishna, the protection automatically comes. All of us are protected now. That's why Krishna says, in Bhagavad Gita, he says, Chetasaha sarva karmani mayi sanyasa madparaha buddhi yoga mupashritya mad chitta satatam bhava. In 1857 of Bhagavad Gita, he says, in all your activities, see, it's very simple. In all your activities, what must you do? Just depend upon me. Just depend upon me. Therefore, if we want the favor of Krishna, we must learn to depend upon him. That is very important. Depending on him. Those who depend on Krishna, they come under Krishna's protection. See? Therefore, or just depend upon me and work always under my protection. If you work under Krishna's protection, then that work is, you see the next line, in such devotional service. That work is devotional service. So we don't have to run away from what we are doing. But if we are depending on Krishna even as we perform any activity, that activity is devotional service. It is devotional service. And in such devotional service, become fully conscious of me. That's why Prabhupada named this society International Society for Krishna Consciousness. If you become conscious of Krishna, that is Krishna's favor upon you. See the point? That is Krishna's favor upon you. And those who are favored by Krishna, very important, what happens to them? In the next shloka, Krishna tells it very clearly to Arjuna. Mat chitta sarva durgani, mat prasada tarisyasi, ata chetvam ahankara na shroyasi vinankrashyasi. It's very important. Sarva durgani means impediments, right? Durga means, fortress, to stop. That's the meaning of Durga. That's why when Mother Durga is in here as the material superintendent of the world, her duty is actually to place impediments so that you learn to depend on Krishna. That's why she is Durga. So Durgani means impediments. So Krishna says that those who are conscious of him, mat chittaha, if you are conscious of Krishna, how to be conscious? Depend on him. That's the way to be. If you depend on him, you revive your remembrance on him. And if you are reviving your remembrance on him, that is his favor. That is his favor. Do you see the sequence? That is his favor. So those who are active in wanting to be conscious of Krishna, what does Krishna promise? Krishna promises in 1858, you will pass over all obstacles of conditional state. By whose grace? Not your grace, not my grace. By his grace. You see? By his grace. So what is Mat Prasadat actually? Prasadat is favor. You see it? Prasadat is favor. So then what is prasadam? Prasadam is also favor. So after this, if we say there's no prasadam, can we say, Prabhu, there must be prasadam? We can't say that because prasadam is favor. If it comes, it is prasad. Right? Of course there's prasadam, but I'm just saying, So therefore don't take for granted even when we honor prasadam. That prasadam is his favor. It is His favor. Do you know when you just eat the Lord's prasadam and when you honor His prasadam by remembering it is His favor, the prasadam tastes better. This is a secret my Guru Maharaj told me. That's why whenever he had prasadam, he never spoke. Because as he was honoring prasadam, he told me, I'm just remembering how much favor Krishna is giving us. How much we are not entitled to, but He's giving mercy. And He's so kind, this mercy is delicious, it is nourishing, and it is invigorating. It is mercy. So the next time you have prasadam, don't just dig into it. Don't just, I have to eat it. Jai Jagannath, Baladev Subhadra Mai ki. We spoke about prasadam, immediately Jagannath gave darshan. So it shows, Jagannath is staking a claim. This is my favor to you. So the next time you have prasadam, before you start talking to each other, you please meditate on this favor that Krishna has given us. Before you leave the center, meditate on this great favor that Krishna has given us. Meditate, just sit down and be grateful to Krishna. How kind Krishna is that He has given us a chance to remember Him through Bhagavatam, to remember Him through Bhagavad Gita. How important this is. So this is the important thing. What do we mean by favor now? Protection of our consciousness. That is the point. When Govardhan Leela was there, and it's coming on Wednesday, isn't it? When Krishna lifted Govardhan with his little pinky finger, right, on his left hand somehow, not right hand, right? When he lifted Govardhan Hill, from the eyes of a normal observer, Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill to save the life and limb of the residents of Vrindavan as well as all the animals of Vrindavan and all the living entities of Vrindavan. It's true, He did protect them. He did give them protection. But the protection of Krishna by taking shelter of Govardhan Hill is deeper than the protection of life and limb. By all the residents of Vrindavan coming under the shade of Govardhan and standing to see Krishna holding Govardhan Hill for 7 days and night, the real favor that Krishna gave them was the protection of their consciousness. Intense remembrance and absorption of Krishna for 7 days and 7 nights. This was the desire and the prayer that every gopi and gopa had in Vrindavan. And Krishna fulfilled everyone's desire just by lifting Govardhan Hill. That's how Krishna protected them. And if you want to be really detailed about it, in Govardhan Leela it is stated, when Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill, don't forget, there were still some animals left on Govardhan Hill at the time when He lifted it. There was not full evacuation. Not everybody had left Govardhan Hill. There were still some animals on Govardhan Hill, and Govardhan Hill also was subjected to the very powerful lightning thunderbolts, right, of Indra. Those thunderbolts and lightning, right, the thunderbolts could have killed anyone. But when they struck Govardhan Hill, because Govardhan was under the shelter of Krishna, shelter doesn't just mean under, Shelter can be above also, right? Sometimes we think, everyone under was saved. But what about Govardhan? Bhagavatam tells us, because Govardhan was in so much ecstasy of being touched by Krishna, when the thunderbolts touched Govardhan, Govardhan was just smiling. No pain. It was like someone throwing garlands of flowers at an elephant. You want to try hurting the elephant, you throw garlands, you see whether you hurt the elephant. Nothing is there. Nothing. So Govardhan was actually very ecstatic. And that ecstasy of devotional service also protects our health. That's a very important point. Sometimes we think we need so much medicine, whether it is Ayurvedic medicine, whether it is allopathic medicine. Sometimes we rush for the Ayurvedic medicine. My Guru Maharaj used to tell me. But he said, in doing that, we become International Society for Ayurveda Consciousness. In the name of becoming so natural, we become attached to natural. But we forget Krishna. You see, even there we can get caught. Even there we can get caught. I know one devotee came and he told Maharaj, I'm so humble about these things. I don't feel I'm very entitled. I don't feel this. I don't feel that. And Maharaj said, you're very proud to be humble. Huh? So it's very easy for us, to become attached to that. Govardhan, the residents of Vrindavan, they were not attached to any process. They were attached to any activity that made them remember Krishna. Our real health is dependent on our devotional service. It's not dependent on anything else. Govardhan Hill became very, very healthy, even though struck by thunderbolt, because it was in touch with Krishna. Brahma Sparshanam. That helped. That helped. And the deers who were up on Govardhan Hill, none of the deers died actually. They were all very happy to be in touch with Krishna. So you see the point? So that's why all the devotees under Govardhan, they were so happy. And that is the real measure of protection. So if you are in Gauranga Center now and you're hearing about Krishna, that is your protection. If you are hearing Bhagavatam now, that is His favor to you. That is His favor to you. We don't need anything else. Just spend the rest of our life performing activities consciously of Him and doing devotional service for Him. It's very simple. There's nothing else to it actually. That is why the lotus feet of Krishna is so powerful. What is that shloka? 10, 14, 58. Samashritaye padapallava plavam mahat padam punya yasho murare bhavamambudir vasapadam param padam 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 vipadam natesham. If you have accepted the boat, right, of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the whole manifestation of this world, then what? This ocean of the material world is actually compared to nothing. It is like water in a hoof print. One can easily cross it. Easily cross it. Our goal is actually the lotus feet of Krishna, because He is the one who gives us the favor. Even though we live in a world where there is danger at every step, the lotus feet of Krishna is the source of protection. So favor is ashrita. What is this here? Ashrayam. Right? That is favor. That is favor. In 11.5 of 33, 11.5.33 of Srimad Bhagavatam, how nicely this point is given. Deyam sada parivamagnam abhishtadoham tirthaspadam siva virinchi nutam sharanyam brityatitam pranatapala bhavadipotam vande mahapurushate charanaravindam. Brahmaji and all the devatas and all the great devotees, they remember Krishna this way. And actually 11.5.33 is an indirect reference to who? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 11.5.33 and 11.5.34 of Srimad Bhagavatam are indirect references by Brahma and Bhagavatas to actually, it's actually referring to Mahaprabhu. That's why it is stated, Vande Mahapurushate Charanaravindam. It is a reference to Mahaprabhu. And Prabhupada confirms that in his purports actually. The lotus feet of Krishna is so powerful that they are the eternal object of meditation. Isn't that what Brahma is being told by Krishna? Situate yourself in penance, situate yourself in meditation. What do we meditate on? We meditate on the lotus feet of Krishna. Not only are they our shelter, but even the great devatas like Lord Shiva, they are taking, even Brahmaji is taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. Krishna is so kind. Kind means favorable. He's so kind that He protects all of us. In fact, even one who even once bows down to Krishna, that person Krishna becomes very happy with. What more to speak of the devotees? So this is so important. And one last point on favor, which I think is worth knowing, since we are in Kartik Mass, is that beautiful prayer of the gopis, In the 10th canto, the Gopi Gita is there. And one of the Gopi Gita is where, the gopis speak about the lotus feet of Krishna. Pranata dehinam papakarshanam trinacharanugam sriniketanam fanifanarpitam te padambujam krinukucheshuna krindihritchayam pranata dehinam papakarshanam trinachanarugam sriniketanam fanifanarpitam te padambujam krinukucheshuna krindihritchayam. I think it's the 7th shloka of the 31st chapter. And there, the gopis sing so nicely, Krishna, your lotus feet, Papa Karshanam, they destroy all the sins. As long as we surrender to you, all sins are actually destroyed. We must have faith in that. We must have really faith in that. We should be assured. We should be encouraged. We do not have to worry about what is sin, what is not sin. What we should be worried about is whether we are pleasing Krishna or not pleasing Krishna. Sometimes we are very caught up by this karma-kan thing. Is it correct to do this, correct to do that? Will something happen? Is it the right hour? Is it the wrong hour? Right hour, wrong hour. If you forget Krishna, how is it going to help you? In the right hour, you forget Krishna, is it auspicious? In the wrong hour, if you remember Krishna, is it inauspicious? It's silly, you see. But we are very caught up with that. We think, what is the right time to worship the deities? What is the wrong time to worship the deities? In all this thing, we have forgotten the deities. What is the point? That's why the gopis, they were not caught by these material considerations. They just wanted to understand, they had full faith. Krishna, your lotus feet destroys all sins. Number one. Those feet are so dear because they follow the cows. Trina means cows. Charanugam, they follow the cows. And Sriniketanam, the goddess of fortune, is following the lotus feet also. That's why Krishna is known as Sriniketanam. Then they remember Kaliya. They say, Fani Fanarpitam. They say Kaliya was so amazing, isn't it? He was so lucky because you danced on his head. Krishna used his lotus feet not once on Kaliya. He did an elaborate dance on the head of Kaliya. Actually, if you think about it carefully, the devotee who got the most amount of lotus feet on his head is actually Kaliya. You think about it, because that dance of Krishna continued for a long time. And he didn't just dance on one head of Kaliya. We have one head, so one time only favor. Kaliya had many heads, so multiple favors. So many ways he was hitting the head, So, Fani Fanarpitam, Te Padambujam. See, Krishna's lotus feet is so powerful, right, that even Kaliya benefited when the lotus feet touched his head. And now the gopis say, please place your lotus feet on our chest. Because this is where our heart is, you see. The heart is the seat of Krishna, isn't it? Our heart is the seat of Krishna. So the gopis say, you take that same lotus feet, Krinu, Kucheshu. Kucheshu means our chest. Krinu Kucheshu, Naha. You please put it on our chest. And when you put it on our chest, Krindi. Krindi is a nice word. Krindi in the word to word means cut away. Krindi in the word to word, in the translation, is tear away. But they mean the same thing. Krindi means you cut away. What do you want to cut away? Cut away all the lust in our hearts, you see. Because lust makes us forget Krishna. That is the problem with lust, right? If lust made us remember Krishna, we will embrace it. We are not attached or averse. Anything that makes us remember Krishna, we'll accept it. That's the point. So this is the thing that is meaning to be favor. So lotus feet of Krishna is actually the protection. Now there are only two other qualities that we need. The other quality now that we have to ask, now we understand the favor of Krishna. The next point is how to achieve the favor of Krishna, right? That is the point that we want to know. And three things Krishna gives very easily. First thing he says, before I tell you the qualities, I tell you how to do it. And the way you have to do it is to situate yourself. The situate is very important. Atishta. Atishta. Atishta is like stane. Stane. You find that word stane, it's also there actually, right? By Brahma's prayers. Stane stitaha, right? Become fixed. In other words, when we perform devotional service, we must learn to be situated. Situated means that we become fixed in one place. Like right now, all of you are situated in Gauranga Center. You're not walking up and down. At the same time, you're also situated in your own seating places. That is to be situated. So the point is that we should not be restless. That is the point here. When Krishna says become situated, what he indicates is don't be restless in the performance of your devotional service. Very often when we perform devotional service, we're very restless. We want something new, Sometimes people tell me, Prabhu, why don't you sing a new tune? Why don't you do something else? That is a sign of restlessness. Restlessness. We don't have to. We have to just do the same thing in devotional service over and over again. Because in the material world, if you do something over and over, it's boring. But in devotional service, if you do over and over, you become more and more fixed. Your faith increases. The repetition actually helps you in remembering Krishna. What is that? Shrunavanti gayanti grananti abhikshnashaha. You hear, you repeat, you chant. Hear, repeat and chant. That's what it is. And you take pleasure in others doing so. And if you do that, then what happens to you? Then you are able to see Krishna's feet. And if that happens, then you don't come back into the material world. So the word situate is very important. And the word situate is there indicating that actually Krishna, right? If you look at the word to word, right? It's very important to see this. You see the shloka starts, our shloka today starts with the word bhuyaha. Bhuyaha. So he says bhuyaha, tvam tapa means, austerity or penance, atishtaha, situate. But why bhuyaha? Why again? Because Brahma had done this previously also. See? He had done this previously also. That's why Krishna is saying, relax. You've done this previously. Why are you worried? And before that, in your previous time, you did this also. And I've got news for you. Before that, you also did this. You've been doing this every time. And every time you've done this, you've been very situated. Don't worry. This service that you're doing, you've done many times for me. I know you are anxious, but don't be anxious. Bhuyaha. So when we are situated, the component of being situated is doing it over and over and over. That's why bhuyaha is there. You follow? That's why bhuyaha is there. That's why when you become situated and avoid restlessness, you must learn to repeat. Prabhupada, Narada Muni says, what is that? Namani anantasya hata tapa patan. By repeated recitation of the holy name. Repeated recitation of the holy name. That's how we must do this. So that is the first point, right? Situated. Now once you are situated, what must you be situated in? Now where are you all situated, or what are you all situated on? You're situated on the floor, right? That's why you're situated. You're situated on the floor, on the mat. But now what is this? What is the floor? What is the base? What is the grounding? The grounding are two things. The anchor for Brahma is penance, right? What is it? It's penance and meditation and knowledge. Three anchors. Be engaged in penance, meditation, and follow the principles of knowledge. In other words, follow principles of knowledge means don't just be knowing, but follow the principles that you know. Actually, follow principles of knowledge means what? To act. That's what it means. It's a long-winded way. Krishna is a bit transcendently long-winded. But what he's saying is, if you have to follow what you know. Not just know, but follow what you know. This is such an important point. That's why people think, oh, I just read Bhagavatam enough. No, you have to follow what you read. So how do you do that? By first performing penance. That is very important, performing penance. Penance by itself is so beneficial, right? Because that penance which is related to Krishna, it purifies us. That's why Prabhupada gave us a lot of tapasya. In fact, in some purports, especially in the second canto, 7th chapter, there's a lot of purports there where Prabhupada says that penance and austerity is actually meant for human life. Human life is meant for tapasya. It is not meant for sense gratification. That's why all of you are seated for Bhagavatam, because Bhagavatam is great penance. Early morning you wake up, you're already tired, yesterday late, and then you're also tired. Morning you wake up for Mangalarti. After Mangalarti, you're so tired to sit for a class. If you can stay awake, it's really penance. Okay? I can see some of you going into ecstasy, but it's really a penance. It's a penance actually, right? Mangalarti is a penance. In which other religious denomination you see people being told to wake up at 4 in the morning and Mangalarti is 4:30? Most temples, Mangalarti is 5:30, some temples even 6, right? Some priests even wake up at 6 o'clock and then they open the temple at 6:30. But Prabhupada set an amazing standard of austerity, 4:30 Mangalarti. That means if you want to chant your rounds, you should be up by 3 in the morning. 3 in the morning, that's austerity. Most people go to sleep at 3 in the morning. And then we are waking up at 3 in the morning, isn't it? I've seen, sometimes young people especially, I'm going to sleep and they are still awake. Or I'm going to be awake, they are going to sleep. It's like that. So it's not easy. So that austerity is needed. But Prabhupada also cautions us. In 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in the 5th and the 6th verses, it's very important. It starts with asashtra vihitam goram. Asashtra vihitam goram tapyante ye tapo janaha. In that shloka, very nicely Krishna says one thing. If you do penance and austerity which is not recommended in the Shastras, and if you perform them out of pride and egoism, this is important. Supposing we wake up for Mangala Arati, it is prescribed. But what happens if we become egotistic and proud about it? Then that penance actually doesn't help us. Oh, Prabhu, I'm Mangala Arati man, I wake up early, do you wake up? Or we have this subtle idea, we walk around thinking that I have great austerity. Actually, that is very dangerous because we are actually attached to it. We're not attached to Krishna. We've become attached to the austerity. You follow? It's very dangerous. Many karmakandis, many yogis, they're actually more austere than us. But they've become attached to the idea of austerity. And they have forgotten Krishna. That is the danger. So Prabhupada says, doing austerity for Krishna, like we fast for Krishna on Ekadashi, that is liberating. But if we are proud of it, that becomes a dragging point. But if we fast for a social, moral purpose, have you seen many politicians in the world? They don't like something, we fast. In India, it happens all the time, unfortunately. And they think it's a spiritual activity. But if you read the purport of 17.5 and 6, Prabhupada makes it very clear that such austerity is actually demonic. It's demonic because it's propelling it's propelling a material cause. And very often it's propelled by pride. So please, if we fast for Krishna, right? Don't fast to show that I'm fasting. Sometimes, we do Ekadashi fast, we do Nirjal. You do Nirjal, you do Nirjal. You don't have to tell someone, Prabhu, I'm doing Nirjal. How come you're not doing Nirjal? What is the reason? How does it benefit the other person? It's because you want to tell the other person, oh, I'm doing Nirjal, isn't it? There's no need to do that. So sometimes we get very caught by these things. It's very dangerous. So that's the first thing about penance we should understand. The next thing, after having penance is of no value if we cannot transform that penance into meditation. That is important. That's why in chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says very nicely, higher than penance is meditation. In all those shlokas, that series of shlokas from 12:12, if you can't perform some certain activities, then you do this. At that point, right, Prabhupada, Krishna clearly says that higher than austerity and penance is meditation. So meditation means absorption. So Brahma was told, you first of all situate. Brahma, be still. Be where you are. Do not become restless. Become still. And when you become still, right, become peaceful, you perform penance. Brahma is no stranger to penance. His penance is incomparable. The reason why Krishna appeared is because of his penance. Because of tapa. Because of that, he captured Krishna in his heart. So much of penance. But not only did he perform penance, he meditated on Krishna. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That entire Brahma Samhita prayers came because of Brahma's meditation. And that meditation was anchored in his penance. And that penance was anchored in his being situated. And his situated was being anchored in his faith that this is coming from Krishna's mercy. You see the sequence? This is how Brahma fixed himself. And this is why he meditated. And Brahma is a great example. And because there is penance, because there is meditation, ultimately what will happen? There will definitely be knowledge. And so Brahma received great knowledge from Krishna. And that knowledge came because Prabhupada writes in the purport, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. This is the point. This is the crux of today's class, of today's verse. That finally, whatever that we are doing, if we perform devotional service, and this devotional service means we are situated, we are not restless, we have faith that we are doing it over and over again for Krishna, and we perform tapaha for Krishna, and we meditate on Krishna, we become absorbed in Krishna consciousness. When we do that devotional service, and if we do it with love, priti, right, with love, then what happens? Krishna will give us the understanding. Understanding means buddhi yogam. He will give us the knowledge. So that knowledge is not coming from us. We must be clear. The knowledge is coming from Krishna. But after Krishna gives us the knowledge, we have to follow the principles of knowledge. This knowledge of Bhagavatam is given very nicely in 2.3.12 of Srimad Bhagavatam. If we want to understand what is the benefit of transcendental knowledge, 2.3.12 is the seminal verse for that. Jnanam yada pratinivritta gunomi chakram atma prasada yutayatra guneshwa sangha kaivalya sammata patas ata bhakti yogaha ko nivrito harikatha suratim na kurya. This is the verse that is telling us of what is this knowledge. Read the verse. Transcendental knowledge means what? In relation with Krishna. And what does that knowledge do? It will result in the complete suspension of waves and whirlpools of the material modes. Waves are very bad because they are very strong, but whirlpools are more dangerous because whirlpools drag us inside, you know. Have you heard of whirlpools? Have you seen whirlpools anywhere? Actually, in Singapore, it's hard to find. The biggest whirlpool, actually Singapore is a whirlpool, the whole Singapore is a whirlpool. But if you put that aside, you know, the biggest whirlpool in the world is known as the maelstrom. It is found actually in Norway. It's between Norway, you know, and the rest of the British Isles. The maelstrom is so big, right? It extends across miles. But this whirlpool of material nature is an entire ocean, not just miles. It's an ocean of material world. But if you take up devotional service through the study of Srimad Bhagavatam, then the waves and whirlpools are suspended. This is the power of knowledge. And you can test this knowledge that Krishna is giving you. You know how you can test it? It's Atma Prasad. It's self-satisfying. So if you feel that I'm not satisfied while I'm studying Bhagavatam, something is wrong. In other words, we're not studying it and not receiving it properly. But if you continue with it, you'll find you'll be all right. And why must we continue with it? Because Prabhupada writes in the purport that penance means perseverance. And that's the last point that's very important. Knowledge is given by Krishna, but to receive this knowledge, we have to persevere. Persevere. And all the great devotees persevered. Persevere means don't give up, Prabhus and Matajis, whatever it is. If you're very sleepy, don't give up, stay awake. Right? If you say, no, I don't want to go for another program, I'm very tired, persevere. No, go for the program. If you say, oh, today, you know, I don't have dhoti, I don't have kurta, they're drying, so I can't come to temple. It doesn't matter. You just wear the dhoti and kurta, it will dry on you. It doesn't matter. You just come. That's it. You know? You don't know this, huh? In the ashrams in the 70s and 80s, you know how devotees dried their clothes? By wearing them. Yes. They washed the dhoti, then they had no other dhoti, right? They just wore it, then they did their work. While wearing the dhoti will dry it. It will dry. But you're wearing it. But they will just dry it. You see? That's perseverance, you see. Just keep doing it. Prataparudra, he persevered to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Never stopped. He kept trying. Right? Mahaprabhu said, no, I will never see him. He's a king. Nityananda Prabhu, Haridas Thakur, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Rai, all of them spoke to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? If you speak to me one more time, I'm leaving now. He didn't want, but even then he persevered. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, okay, I'll give him a piece of my cloth. Then, okay, I will embrace his son. Then finally, he was at the Puri Rath Yatra, Mahaprabhu fainted. And what happened was Prataparudra picked him up. Mahaprabhu saw who had touched him, and he said, oh, now I'm defiled. See? But he never got discouraged. He persevered, like Brahma persevered. No discouragement in devotional service. Persevere. Just persevere. And finally, because he persevered, he finally could massage the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. It happened. That is how Mahaprabhu's favor came. Sometimes the Lord's favor is in forcing us to persevere. Sometimes the Lord's favor is in forcing us to persevere. That is also his favor. Sometimes the Lord's favor is in making sure we fall sometimes. We make mistakes sometimes. But the Lord picks us up because we become more dependent on Krishna. That's also his favor. Don't forget that. Favor doesn't mean smooth road. Favor in Krishna consciousness means slaps. That's what it is, right? All the difficulties will happen. That is also favor of Krishna because he's molding you, Prataparudra went through that. Dhruva Maharaj, how many months of austerity? My God, we could never do that. If I was told by Nada Muni, this is how you must do it, how can anyone live, few days without air, then few days with air? The few days I'll be dead, isn't it? There won't be a person left. But he did it. He persevered. So this perseverance is very important. And that is why Prabhupada says, if you put all this together, then the result of that is that Krishna will give you the necessary knowledge. That's why after this chapter, in the 10th chapter, if my memory recalls correctly, in 3.10.6 of Bhagavatam, right? Let's end with this. In 3.10.6 of Bhagavatam, the fruit of this point is given in 3.10.6. Long penance and transcendental knowledge of self-realization had matured Brahma in practical knowledge. What a beautiful point. When you persevere, when you situate yourself in Srimad Bhagavatam, when you practice the principles of knowledge, when you meditate on Krishna, when you become situated, then Krishna's favor falls on you. He gives you the necessary understanding and he will also mature you in your devotional service. And so Brahma became matured and so he could translate all that Krishna said into practical knowledge. And what is the practical knowledge? Look at what he did. He drank the wind completely along with the water. Of course, we have no idea how to do it. How do you drink the wind along with water? It's completely inconceivable for us, but it is his job scope, unfortunately. When Brahma signed employment agreement with Krishna, scope of job, secondary creator. And how do you do it? One of the things you have to do is you have to drink the wind completely along with water. And of course, Brahma was bewildered. What a scope of work. But in 3.10.6, because of his devotional service, that employment agreement which appeared just like work he had to do, he had the maturity to fulfill it. Even in your own workplaces, you will have the maturity to perform your job if you sign an employment agreement with Krishna. If you sign an employment agreement with Krishna, you will mature in your transcendental knowledge. You will do it. Not with your employer. The employer is going to die, but Krishna is going to live. And that is why we come to the conclusion. The conclusion is what Prabhupada says so nicely here. Such instructions of Buddhi Yoga are directly imparted by the Lord from within. So don't feel bad. Sometimes we feel, that, I have no help, Krishna is far away. No, he's within. He will help us. Contradictory things in life can become very easily aligned if Krishna gives us the necessary knowledge. He will do it. But we must do one thing. We must become like what Brahma was, Dhrita Hari. In the second canto, 6th chapter, 34th verse, Brahma gives us the clue. Na bharati me angamrisho upalakshate na vai kvachin me manasamrisho gatihi na me rishikani patanti asatpate yanme hridau kantavyata drita harihi. See the meaning of the verse. O Narada, because I have caught hold of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, with great zeal, 3 things have happened to Brahma. Whatever I say have never proven to be false. The progress of my mind has never been deterred. No Parkinson's, no Alzheimer's, no dementia. You notice, Brahma had no dementia. He's much older than you and I. but no dementia. Nothing happened to him because Dhritahari. And most importantly, his senses were not degraded into temporary matter. They were always elevated in permanence, not temporary matter. Those who run after temporary, they will lose their enthusiasm. They will lose the austerity. They will lose the capacity for meditation. They will become restless. But those who run after the eternal, like Brahma does, tightly holding on to the lotus feet with great zeal, enthusiasm, they will never lose enthusiasm. And Krishna will always guide them from within. And Krishna will always guide us from within. That is his favor. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gurudev ki, Jai Gaura Premanande. Thank you, Prabhus, Matajis, for attending the class. What an amazing verse. Next week's verse is equally relishable. In next week's verse, Krishna goes one step further. And there, that whole Brahma Vimohana Leela is so beautifully discussed in the purport, actually. So please, come to hear Bhagavatam, because it gives us so much of happiness. Aren't you all very happy just hearing Bhagavatam? Isn't it? How many of you are feeling sad now? No, you'll be very happy when you hear Bhagavatam. Thank you. Shall we? Yes, Mataji. You implement it by serious devotional service. The more you chant, the more you study Srimad Bhagavatam, the more you apply the principles of knowledge, you will automatically, without separate effort, eventually become equipoised. But it takes time, Mataji, and you need to be peaceful and patient to come to that point. You also cannot be stubborn. The mind is very stubborn. It doesn't want to be equipoised. It will make the problem larger than it is. Oh, but it's so difficult. That's the mind. But if you have faith that I must change my lifestyle so that I become equipoised, that sacrifice will attract Krishna. Many people, from my experience, do not change their lifestyle enough to sacrifice for Krishna. They think I can continue with my cushy lifestyle, and not have so much of problems, do whatever I want to, and then Krishna will just slowly make me equipoised. It's not going to happen. That's why you need to perform penance. Penance means you rearrange your life. You sacrifice for Krishna. And then you see, naturally you will become equipoised. Until that endeavor is there, Krishna is not cheap. And he's definitely not free. He is the most valuable item in the world. And we jolly well learn to change our life to suit his whims and his fancies, because they are transcendental and we are not. Is it helpful, Mataji? Thank you. One last one, because we have to go now. Yes.
Prabhuji, I cannot just reconcile. There is like somebody very senior pujari, like who served Jagannath ji all his life, getting a Tita more. He got his leg amputated. So how does the karmas reconcile? When do they reconcile, as Krishna says in everywhere, that I'm going to take away of your karmas?
If there is a karma to be taken away, Krishna will do it favorably in this life. That is the best thing to do. So if you're performing devotional service and you're doing very nice devotional service, but there is some account balance that needs to be settled, Krishna in his kindness will settle it in this life. It could be in the lake going, it could be in an accident, it could be in some difficulty where you have to depend more on Krishna. The external eyes will see it as a calamity, but the devotee will see it as the closing of the material account. That's all, Mataji. Yes, Navagaura Prabhu.
Prabhu, you mentioned about Govardhan, so want to know whether we worship Govardhan as Lord Krishna.
Yes.
But you mentioned as a devotee, so is Govardhan a devotee or?
He's both. That's the beauty of it. When Govardhan is a devotee, until he was touched and enlivened by Krishna, then Govardhan actually, because Krishna was so pleased with Govardhan, that Krishna assumed a very large form, isn't it, at that time. And Krishna declared that I am actually Govardhan. So it is one of the few leelas where Krishna assumes the role of a devotee but Krishna also extols Govardhan as the devotee. So we worship Govardhan as sacred to Krishna because Krishna's lotus feet touch Govardhan. We also worship Govardhan as non-different from Krishna because of the way Krishna protected the residents of Vrindavan. It is simultaneously one and different, something that is unique to our Krishna conscious philosophy. And in case you're scratching your head, that's why it's unique, because it's simultaneously one and different. In the material world, that is illogical. You cannot be one and different at the same time, but in the spiritual world, you can be, Prabhu. So our mood when we circumambulate Govardhan Hill on Wednesday is to first of all say, Govardhan, you are such a great devotee of the Lord. You are so great that the Lord himself has come in your form also as Govardhan to give us all protection. At the same time, the Lord and the devotees, there is very little difference, because the devotee is so pleasing to the Lord that the Lord very often wants to glorify his devotee as good as he is. And that is why there is so much of reciprocation between the Lord and his devotees. Is that helpful, Prabhu? Thank you. I think, Prabhu, we will do Damodar. Let's sing Damodar very quickly, and then we have to go because there is another program in NTU at the moment, and I have to be there. So let's chant for about 10 minutes. I think we can do the we can simultaneously come forward to do it, right? Okay. Jai Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Oh, yeah, okay, fine, yeah, that will be helpful. Yeah, thank you. That one can't move. Oh, it can be moved. Okay. Can I have the songbook, Prabhu? So let us come forward and let us sing. It's beautiful. It's okay, I'll adjust. Namamishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamalam Yashoda Biyolu Kaladhavamanam Paramrishtamadyantato Drutya Gopya Rudantam Muhurnetra Yugmam Vrijantam Karamboja Yugmena Satankanetram. You must do a bit faster. Rudantam Muhurnetra Yugmam Vrijantam Karamboja Yugmena Satankanetram. Muhuswasakam Patri Rekha Kakanta Svita Graivam Damodaram Bhakti Bhajam. Iti Drikswalila Virananda Kunde Swagosham Nimajantam Akyapayantam. Jai Damodar ji ki. Tadi येषितान्येषु भक्तैर्जितात्मं पुनः प्रेमतस्तं सता वृत्ति वन्दे वरं देवः मोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरिष्यदपिह इदं ते वपूर्णाथ गोपालबालम् सदा मे मनस्याविरस्तां किमन्ये जय बाल गोपाल की इदं ते मुखाम्बोजम् अत्यन्तनीलै वृतं कुन्तलै स्निग्धरत्नैश्च गोप्या हरि बोल मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरतादरं मे मनस्याविरास्ताम् अलं लक्ष्यलाभे जय यशोदा दामोदर जी की नमो देव दामोदर अनंत विष्णु प्रसीदा प्रभो दुःख जलाभिमग्नम् कृपा दृष्टि वृष्याति दिनं बतानु ग्रहाणे क्षमामग्न्यं मेदाक्षि दृश्यया कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धमुत्यैव याद्वा त्वया मोचितौ भक्ति भजौ कृतौ च हरि हरि कथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वखं मे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरेह जय प्रेम भक्ति की नमस्तेस्तु धाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिधाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायात विश्वस्य धाम्ने हरि हरि नमो राधिकायाय त्वदीया प्रियाय नमो अनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम् श्रीमती राधा रानी की नमो राधिकायाय त्वदीया प्रियाय नमो अनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम् हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा can't hear you. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol. Krishna, Jai Damodar Leela ki. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Jaya Yashoda Damodara, Yashoda Damodara, Yashoda Damodara, Yashoda Damodara. Jaya Vrindavana Dham, Vrindavana Dham, Vrindavana Dham, Jaya Vrindavana Dham, Jai Vrindavan Dham ki. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jai Gurudev. Jai Shri Shri Damodar Ashtakam ki, Yashoda Damodar ki, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai ki, Shri Shri Giri Govardhan ki, Vrindavan Bhumi Dham ki, Kartik Maas ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande. So we thank all devotees for joining us. We have maybe 2 weeks left before the Damodar month ends. Because Diwali is tomorrow, the next 2 days, depending on which day you celebrate. But the important thing is, we want to actually have 125 programs offered to Srila Prabhupada. I think we have passed 90 over, so we are close, but why stop at 125, right? We can do more. So my humble request to everyone, wherever you are, just try to do some Damodar programs. Offer it to Prabhupada. Let Sumit Prabhu and Vrinda Mataji know, right? So we can track them. It can be your friends. Diwali day, you may know some people. Just meet them for a while, few minutes. Speak to them about Damodar. Give them the beautiful lambs, Give them this Leela, and they will be blessed. So many lives change because of this. And for Prabhus also in the dormitories, if you can, just speak to your friends about Damodar Leela. If you can light lamps, you light lamps, whatever way. Even if one lamp is lit and 100 people are there, if all of them offer that one lamp, how wonderful it is, right? So please, there's so many ways to do it. We have 2 weeks, I think by November 8 maybe, is the last day of our Damodar. Let's make the best use of it. Srila Prabhupada's disappearance is also coming. I think it's next Saturday. Do you know, Sir Prabhu, is it next Saturday? It is next Saturday, right? So it's a very important day for us, Srila Prabhupada's disappearance. We should offer, and we're very fortunate it's going to be actually during Kartik month and on a Saturday. So let's do that. Prabhu, we have the Vaishnava calendars. They are available now?
For the next year, yeah.
Okay, for the next year. They are available now. So please take your Vaishnava calendars also. Thank you so much. And please come for the evening program to hear Maharaj. Come tomorrow for the Diwali evening program. 5 to 6:30 is the Vaishnava Yajna, the initiation. Then 6:30 is Gora Arti. 7 o'clock Maharaj starts speaking to 8. 8 is Damodar Leela. 8 is Damodar Ashtakam and we can chant, right? So we have many wonderful programs coming up. Wednesday is Govardhan Puja. So please be here in the evening. Come early. 6 something we will already be here. We will have continuous dancing, kirtan, remembrance of Govardhan. I think Govardhan, would be very beautiful. If I know how the devotees who are organizing it are, they will make a wonderful service. So we all should come for Govardhan also. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.